This is Marketing Uncomplicated. Welcome back to Uncomplicate It, the podcast where we cut through the noise and focus on what actually works. Today's guest is Kalen Marie Cotto, fractional CMO, author of The Revenue Runway, and the founder of KMC Digital. She helps small businesses and startups go from chaos to clarity, which we love, with practical revenue-first strategies. Kayleen's also known for a contrarian take I love, why building a fancy website first can actually sabotage your startup success. What to do instead. Kayleen, welcome to the show. We're really excited to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
So I always like to start on the origin story, the concept of chaos before clarity. So let's just take a few steps back, because I want to humanize and really sort of build you up in that sense of where you were and where you've come from and where you are today. You went from military public affairs, coordinating media in combat zones, which is super interesting, to entrepreneurship. What did that transition really look like for you?
I think I know it was kind of a funny journey. I joked that it was like accidental entrepreneurship or accidental marketing or whatever you want to call it because
Yeah.
I grew up in a small business family. So my parents had a janitorial company. I watched them start it from cleaning houses, moving over to office and commercial and growing that. And that was kind of the family business growing up as a kid. So I saw them working long hours, trying to market themselves. Back in the day when we didn't have internet, it was like door hangers and phone calls and things like that, and the yellow pages, of course, to try to get business in the door.
Yellow
Um,
pages were great.
yeah, it was much
Yeah.
easier.
Some days I wish we could go back to, oh, you need an ad in the pages? Let's go.
Right, and then like you're one of the only ones locally. I know it's so different now. And he even said like I would not want to start a business now because for him the digital is very overwhelming. So I didn't intend to go in. I thought maybe I'd start my own business someday, but I didn't really put too much effort into it. I went to college. I got my journalism degree. I actually thought I was going to be kind of a combat journalist on the civilian side. That was sort of my like, oh, it would be so cool to be able to even just write for newspapers. But as we found out, newspaper industry kind of went sideways. And when I was approached by a recruiter. So I was working for a newspaper in college, was approached by an Army recruiter when I was doing a story on the ROTC unit at the university. And they said, why don't you join us, whatever. And I said, well, I'll only join if I can do something with my journalism degree. Like, what do you even have in the Army that would be that? Do you even have that? And they said, actually, there's a public affairs unit in Nashville, which was an hour away at the time. I was over at Fort Campbell at Austin Peay State University. Anyway, ended up doing that. Fast forward, deployed to Iraq. I got to do my job over there. I got to meet a lot of the actual combat reporters that were doing that for a living. And then when I came home, I really focused on family. I got married. I got pregnant with my daughter. And then I thought our reserve had brought me on to active duty almost indefinitely. They just kept on duct taping orders together to get me paid. And after she was born, I had this BlackBerry I was tied to it. I was 24/7. I remember answering emails in the hospital while I was in labor because it's not an instantaneous thing. You have to wait for the baby to come. And
Yes.
I said, I don't want to do that. So I started helping friends just with their websites when they were getting out of the Army. And then it morphed over time. And then I realized after 10 years, 12 years of doing this stuff with clients that there was patterns of what everybody needed. And then getting clarity was really more important than just throwing some things up there. And now more than ever, I think with AI and stuff.
Yeah, no, I think your story is an amazing one because while you build through that system of clarity, you also had this buildup of resilience. I mean, you had the side hustle of launching while you were pregnant, on active duty. Post divorce, your referral business collapsed, and then you had this wake up call of, how do I build this differently, and so on and so forth. So for me, that was an interesting part in terms of, you get hit down, you get knocked down, you build yourself back up and you keep moving, right? Was this a lesson that you drew from, being on active duty, working in the military? Tell us a little bit about, how you continue to sustain and to really get back up because most people tend to give up at that point.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there's times I went back into the workforce, and that's why I tell people don't feel bad, don't beat yourself up if you have to go back and get a part time job or even a full time job for a season. But completely quitting will definitely guarantee failure. I think that it started for me. My mom passed when I was 14, which I think realizing that no matter what's going on, your life is still happening. You know, when you have some major tragedy or a situation that you have never faced before and it takes you out, you realize that you're just going to keep waking up. Then, like, life is going to continue. And at 14, I thought, oh, no matter what's going on, life is still happening. Like, I still have to go
Yeah.
to school, I still have to whatever. So then later on, you know, after joining the military, going through a divorce, it just, I thought, okay, I just have to keep going on because it was like a, you know, a repeat battling the same kind of mindset where you, for me, I joined the track team that helped me like clear my head just running. But I think that kind of started with the resiliency, and then being in the military, of course, is more, they actually train you to deal with bad situations. And a lot of your training is uncomfortable. It's not super fun all the time. You know, you're sleeping outside or you're marching for hours with a back on your back or things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Like you just learn to build up tolerance to uncomfortable things.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to work and business and career, a lot of people see things online and think, I'm just going to be rich overnight because I downloaded this new AI or someone's
I
promising
know.
you that this tool is going to change your life and you're going to make 20,000 a month tomorrow. And there's a lot
It's
that
work.
happens, as you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's total
Yeah.
work, and nobody sees the mountain that you're climbing up. They only see you when you're at the top of the mountain, you know? So,
Yes. Yep.
yeah. So you talk a lot about going from chaos to clarity, as I mentioned. You know, what is this, the revenue runway, and why did you build it?
Well, we started out kind of thinking we were trying to simplify because I know you are on the same wavelength of like, let's not make this overcomplicated. And I think even with AI, it's more relevant because I felt like every time I sat down with a client, they would call me and go, oh, the reason I pivoted into this was because you get these people and they're like, oh, well, I saw this YouTube video and I know that I need help with ads. I just need money. I just need clients. I just need this one thing that's going to fix it all. And I felt like what they're not understanding is if your website's not dialed in and you're driving traffic to it, or your landing page, if it's not a full blown website, or even your social media channels, you're going to attract a lot of people to the wrong things, or they're not going to convert. There's so many layers, right? Because everyone's like, oh, I just need a funnel, one funnel away from being a millionaire,
Yes.
right? All the things. But inside of that funnel, what people are not understanding is your foundational elements actually can work for you without even, like, as you're doing all of the ads and as you're doing all of these offers, the things that are foundational are the things that people look for. So they'll go to your website, take a look at you, see what you've done, see what you do for people. And even though I say the startup people don't dive into an expensive website, my reason I say that is because I've had clients tell me I just paid $15,000 for this
Crazy.
website, and I'm like, "Do you have any clients yet?" And they're like, "No, I'm
Yeah,
just starting
crazy.
out." And I'm like, "Ah, you use your savings for that." Like, that's great that you're excited, but start small and grow slowly. And I
No, I
feel
love
like
that.
I tried to do fast once I, got in there. I'm like, okay, now that I'm gonna be serious about this business, I need to get clients ASAP. And so I was throwing money at ads. I did everything everybody does because digital marketing wasn't so honed in either. Like when I started, it was and it wasn't. So like SEO obviously was a thing. Certain things were common practice, but I never bought into the get rich quick sales funnel mentality. So I focused on writing blogs, and I had YouTube channel, but it was all under a different brand. It's not out there anymore. But I
Yeah.
remember thinking like, I get more referrals through my Facebook. And then, oh, my personal Facebook, where I'm posting about my life and about my family, and I'm posting a little bit about work. People are referring people through there. So what I never did was build a personal brand, but I do think now we are all having to kind of do that. So I started podcast recording of my own just because I think, you know, that's where we're headed, where AI is going to make it really important to have authentic voices online. But in the beginning, that's what pivoted me. So really what we focus on in the first step is really mindset. Inside the book, there's a bunch of quizzes about mindset. Like, what do you think? Why can't you do this? And like why you should think that you can. And then the second phase is like the big three, which is like the offer, the who you're talking to, that one person that you're talking to. And I know a lot of people teach this. It's just people will come up with an offer, but then they'll try to talk to everyone the way their verbiage is written. So they'll just say, I help small businesses grow. But then a plumber is going to say, well, is that me? Or do you work with product companies? Are you in e-commerce? And so I think just really digging through that and dialing it in. And then the sales conversation once you get that person on the phone call. So those three big things are what this focuses in on. And then once you do get clients in the door, how are you maintaining them? Do you have a referral network in place and systems like that?
Yeah. No, I like that you're keeping it simple because I've also had clients that have come to me and spent X amount of money on websites and there was no need for them to do that. uh you know Even just getting scammed really, and out of price.
Ugh.
And so that's just the crazy part about it, and it's like, to your point, it's, as you just said earlier, I was doing the digital marketing thing because, that's what you think marketing is, right?
Mhm.
What most founders and small business owners, think marketing is what they see and what they are marketed to. And so
Right.
that's really the important part, is really giving them that empowerment to know that they can say yes, they can say no. And when somebody's going to tell you that they're going to 10x their business, it's probably a bunch of BS. And especially now with AI coming about, because if AI is going to change the world and they're going to 10x everything, then all of us are going to be on some either mountain top, if you like that, or by the beach doing work from there. And
Right.
that's not going to happen, right? Maybe it will in the next 15 years, who knows. But it's really deciphering down and drilling down what matters most in the prioritization. So that's what I wanted to talk about. How
Mhm.
does the revenue runway truly help founders prioritize what truly drives their sales?
Well, and I think that, well, we talk about testing a lot. So we have a method where like the copy, there's just certain things that need to be dialed in. I think it helps people from throwing spaghetti at the wall, because I've had clients go, oh, well, now I just saw this thing and I should make a webinar and I should have people coming into my webinar and I should be doing this. And then, oh, but that's not working, but they try it one time. They don't try to, it keeps them from doing all the things without really
Yeah.
a plan, or even the messaging. Because I've seen where I've taken a look at different social media channels. On Facebook, the message is really clear, but then on LinkedIn, it's not matching. And then on another channel, it doesn't match. And then different branding is not matching. And so I feel like the process of what we bring them through, it eliminates all the good idea theories that kind of fly around. And you're like, oh, yeah, I could just do this or do that. And I know, like, even like faceless YouTube channels, I've had clients bring all kinds of stuff to me. But what if I just did this? Would I make money doing this? You'll make money doing whatever it is you focus in on, but it's getting it to the point where it's very clear. And
Yeah.
I think that's how it helps entrepreneurs. It quiets down all the noise in their head because they do have a plan. And it doesn't matter. I get a lot of pushback about the market's already saturated. I think that's one of the mindset things in the book. And I'm like, it isn't really, because you're your own person. So, like, you
Yeah.
may try out 5 or 6 fitness coaches who all are doing the same thing, and that industry is very saturated. But only Jessica is the one that you like to work with, and her personality fits your personality. And I think that's where people forget about. There's 100 million people doing marketing, but if you don't enjoy working with that team, or they're not bringing you what you need, then there's other people you should
Switch.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there should be a level of being able to truly understand, how to decipher what, if somebody is really just blowing steam, or, are they really going to put in the work for you? Because there is a lot of garbage out there today.
Yeah, and the price ranges are all over the place. So you get
Yeah.
people that are saying like, I'll help you market one channel for like 3 grand a month. And then you get other people saying, oh, I'll do all your social media, I'll do your emails, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this for $3,000 a month. And so I feel like once you have your foundation in place, then you can determine who the contractors are that you want to help you, because
Yeah.
you're focused on a specific thing. I think a lot of people think they have to constantly pivot and reinvent themselves and make new things all the time. And
Yep.
because I had a client,
Absolutely.
and you don't really always have to do that. If you're solving a problem for people and they're happy with your work, you don't, unless you're really bored and you just want to spice things up. I've had people like that, but I had a client once and she's like, I don't know, I'm doing all the things and I'm selling and I'm getting, income coming in, and I just feel like I need to be doing something else. And I'm like, what if you just did more of what you're doing now? Like you
Yeah,
can.
because I think it's also the mentality of like your goal post chaser. It's like you put the goal post down, you reach it, you don't even celebrate it, you move on. And it's just this constant, buildup of 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. But it's, if you're doing something, maximize that 2.0. Don't move the goalpost. How do you make it better? How do you make it more extensive? How do you blow it out of the water and all of that, versus just completely moving on and chasing. In some cases, I think that's well worth it. In other cases, I think you just need to take a step back.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So this idea, as we mentioned, of the fancy website myth, let's talk about your contrarian take. Why does building a fancy website first sabotage startup success? Because as we know, a lot of people may not need a website to, gain traction. They could be utilizing their social media platforms for sales. And there are so many cheaper ways nowadays to build your website.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
what should founders be focused on before a website?
I would do, like, if I was going to talk, for example, local business, just to pinpoint something. Um, I've had a lot of good success with, I don't know. I've always wanted to call it like locally famous, but not really. Like where you set up your Facebook page, your Instagram, and your Google business
Mhm.
account. Like for me, if you're a local business, service business, because I don't work with e-coms, I just do service based. But I would be just really hyper optimizing everything I can on the Google Maps, and then I would have my Facebook and Instagram. And I don't think I would even do anything else beyond that until I have clients coming in. And so that's where, because we can test messaging on Meta, but even if you don't go that extensive, you can just start with, some very low ad budget in your local area and then get a feel for what people are responding to and clicking on. So if you have, 5 or 10 versions of an ad that you made in Canva, you can load it into Facebook. You could play with ChatGPT to figure out some sales copy targeting homeowners that need landscaping, for example, and then make up maybe 5 or 10 different versions of that text, look at it, make it sound like a human, put it into the Meta ad platform. And now, with the new rollout of their new ad platform, they want to do a lot of the work for you and only post it to people who care about what you're doing. So I think those little micro testings, you don't need to run the ad for a long time. You can do it for, set it for a 5 day maximum with like a $50 maximum budget. You may not even spend all of that in these little micro tests, but you can do that locally. And I mean, even events, just advertising events locally and having it be within your small radius, you're going to saturate smaller areas pretty fast with Facebook ads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're in a bigger city like San Diego or LA, then you're kind of competing. But like where I live, I laugh because people are like, I need clients. I just don't know what to do. And I'm like, you live in a very small town. In
Yeah.
like a week or two, you could probably know everybody and everyone will know you, even if you just post, your some reels of you talking about what you do or showing people what you do. I feel like
Yes.
those things are much more impactful. And then when you start to get a lot of clients and you're having people send you all kinds of weird text messages and it's overwhelming, build the website that also integrates your business processes. So you know what? Here's my website. Go here, get a quote, or schedule an appointment on my Calendly. And then that's when you start to spend some money on softwares, but you don't have to go
Yes.
insane either. I
No,
think go
start off
ahead.
small, build up.
Yeah, because what I did was the opposite. I could
Yeah.
just thousands of dollars. I just should have burned it with a lighter. It really did the same thing. So, so I
Yeah.
feel when clients say that to me, I'm like, I feel that because I've done it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Lesson learned, but now we can teach others not to do that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, from a tactical wins and mindset shift that you talk about, and that's part of your book, what's one quick win listeners can implement this week to attract better clients?
That is a good one. Um, One quick win: attract better clients. You want that, like along the terms of mindset,
Yeah.
or
Or tactical wins, you know. I mean, what's something that somebody can prioritize?
and if they
I
have
know it's
existing.
different to your point, like, you know, if somebody lives in a small town, you know, there's efforts there, you know, if somebody you know, is in a different industry, you know, one platform could work better than the other, but maybe it's just focus small.
Yeah, I feel like just your mindset of being confident too. Just I feel like some people also have imposter syndrome even after they've
Yes.
taken on clients. I feel like getting confident, and I would say embrace video, just even having your, like you said, origin story. Like a lot of people just telling why they got into the work that they're doing. A lot of people never even do that. Or they
Yes.
think their story is irrelevant, or they think that their story is not a good positive. Actually, my husband just launched his mental health practice, and I'm helping him with meta ads and doing a landing page. And I said, you don't need a website. Let's just do a really fast landing page. It's very simple. And then he has a scheduling tool. And so, even with him, he's like, well, I don't know if, my military background is a good thing to talk about, because people might think I'm too militant and they won't want to hire me as a counselor because they want someone that's nice and gentle. And I was in infantry. And I said, but if you tell the story of your soldiers and how a lot of them you lost after suicide, after
Yes.
you came home, and how during your active duty you were counseling people already, you just didn't realize it. You were having to counsel them on their career, but also if they had a personal issue like a divorce or some major thing in their life, you were helping them with that as well. Because in order for them to function at work, you have to help them personally. And the military is very more personal, I think, than any job you'll have, because you do
Yes.
need to know people's, garbage that they're dealing with, because you can help them with it, and it helps them work better and be clear headed. So he was doing those things without, just not even realizing all of the experience he got before even getting his degree or taking on clients in the civilian side. So, and then he goes, oh yeah, I guess that's true. But he was afraid of his origin story. So I think a
Mm.
quick win would be to get that nailed down. Even taking a little small course with StoryBrand, I really like his
I
model.
love Donald Miller's like direction.
Yeah, me too. And it's
Mhm.
simple, and I think that's a good one. Look into what that is, and maybe get your origin story nailed down, so that, to me, that's a core piece of content you can do and have it on a YouTube channel, or use it as a reel or something like that.
Yeah, or even Simon Sinek, start with the why. I mean, he really helps you drill down and focus on why the story is important, and then Donald Miller helps you build out that origin through like a 7-step process, I believe.
It's good, yeah.
How do entrepreneurs, or how do you guide entrepreneurs to cure analysis paralysis and unlock 80% of those results?
I feel like the strategy covers a lot of that. So we're actually, if they're a startup, it's more conversations. I think it's asking why, digging into why they are taking so long to get started, or what stopped
Yeah.
them before, or what is their biggest fear. Fear to me is kind of the biggest one of all. Self doubt, all the other things we mentioned in the book lead back to fear, really. There's 6 things that we mentioned, but fear is a big one. I think we get afraid of things we haven't done yet. Like we get afraid of failure when we haven't failed yet. So I think
Yes,
people
yes.
talk themselves out of things before they get started. Because in marketing, especially any business, I feel like everything is figure outable. If you're having a stuck moment, there's a billion YouTube videos that you can go and sit there and learn from other people. And I know there's some bad advice out there too, but for the most part, I think people are solving problems they don't have yet. So they're like, well, what if I get 20 clients? Then what am I going to do? Who cares? You don't have them yet.
Yes,
Stop
yes.
thinking that way. You don't have them yet. Now, if we're going to work on a sales funnel and now you have 40 clients, because that actually did happen to one of my clients, they had 40 calls in the first 2 weeks, and their receptionist, for some reason, wasn't ready to handle that, even though we had a conversation about it. Somehow
About it.
the message didn't translate into the office. So she's like, oh my gosh, I have all these phone calls and all these things to follow up on and all of that. And I'm like, do you need me to help? Like, call people back, because I can jump in and ask them to book appointments. And we talked about their calendar, and they said, no, we'd rather have them call. But like within a month, they were like, can you shut this off? It's too much. But they didn't have an overwhelming problem until they had one. So I think, and it worked out okay. Like they were able to call everyone and figure out what leads were good and what leads weren't. But I think that's the biggest thing. Once they get understand that it's a lot of testing. Even let's say you hire the most amazing marketing agency on the planet, right? The people that Mastercard and Visa use, they're whatever they're charging you 4 million a month to manage their accounts.
Yep, yep.
Let's just talk about like if you had unlimited budget and you could hire the best of the best of the best in the whole planet, they have to test as well, and it's part of
Yeah.
their process. So I think when people are like, "Oh, I haven't figured it out yet," some people give themselves 6 months to a year to just figure out the verbiage that's going to land. They do focus groups, they do studies, they do research. So if you're throwing in an idea into ChatGPT and you're throwing it into Meta and it's taking you a week or two to figure out the best message, that's like really fast. So
Yes, yes.
I think we've got to put things into perspective. Even not just like once you're past fear and you're doing the thing, wanting everything microwave fast is not just because it's digital marketing and certain things are fast. Like, yes, I can download a YouTube video, I can chop it into sections in AI, and I can load it into my reels quickly. Yes, workload wise, things have been able to be quicker, but that thought process that you have to have before you start doing all those things, you don't need to rush it all. And I was just
Yes.
talking to somebody before this on a call, and he's like, we just want to build this slow and steady because we want it to last and we
Oh,
want.
I love ones like that. And I love what you're saying. Like not everything has to be microwavable fast. I don't even use a microwave. My microwave is packed with spices.
Smart. I don't love microwaves. They make food taste
Yeah.
worse.
And it's true. I mean, and even funny enough, like, my dad is like the best judgment of character. And I've always talked to him about dating advice. And he was like, this one's a microwave. He's going to eventually explode. Stay away.
That's
So the
funny.
microwave comes up in different parts of your life, whether business, personal, professional. It's great.
Totally.
It's a great one. I do want to talk about overcoming the victim mindset. What does that actually look like in business?
I when I run into it, and I run into it with myself
Yeah.
too. Sometimes in the beginning, I definitely battle that. People are gonna do peoply things, and I think that's where it comes from, right? So people have, gosh, when it comes to agreements, partners, bringing people into your ecosystem, your infrastructure, and something doesn't go right, or maybe you have a client hire you and you did the best you can, but you're just not able to move the needle for them. They're just not happy, whatever reason that they're not happy. Even if you delivered all the work, they don't like it or whatever. Not turning immediately to like, woe is me, like the whole world is out to get me, everything is terrible. There's sometimes in the beginning a big strong pull to quit and go back to work, even if financially you don't have to yet. I feel like I just feel like when life does what life can do, you can't. I mean, I have spent a couple days under the covers just being grumpy and upset about situations back in the beginning when I was just me and my daughter, and I thought, oh my gosh, I just went through a divorce. My whole savings is depleted. My
Yeah.
business that I had is gone. My emotional stress, it bled out onto my clients, and
Yeah.
they could tell I was not in a good way mentally. And who wants to have someone working for you that's like a train wreck and constantly freaking out? And you can't grow your business when you sound like you're just, negative Nancy, and this is too hard and nobody understands me. I'm the only one that deals with these things. And, if you have a mindset like that already, you have to turn that off before you
Yes.
start something, because you are going to get hit and it's your business. So it's not like when you work for an employer and then you start to have a crappy experience or you don't like your 9 to 5 anymore, you can start applying to other jobs and get out of there. You own all of it. Right. And then that's what I realized partway through, like, what are my behaviors that suck? That's causing me to constantly spin back around. Like, why am I allowing people to walk all over me when I clearly had an agreement in place? Why didn't I just stick up for myself or get an attorney? Or there's just certain things that I made mistakes of, and I feel like it's easy to become the victim again, or even
Yep.
a victim of something going on in your personal life. And like I said, it bleeds into, because I think the first chapter is like business is personal, I think, and it's it is, because your faults and your negative things about yourself. I feel like if you want to really get some good therapy, start a business and figure out all your flaws by just dealing with
1000%. Yeah.
clients.
Yeah. Your business is your mirror of you.
It really is. And that's where I know I've hit limits, and there's still limits I'm working on. Like personally, though, I'm like, okay, I seem to keep growing to this level, and this seems to be easy for me to do. But for some reason, I can't break in this area. And so I'm learning that really the business is not your identity. And
Yeah.
I think that happens in the military too, where your military career becomes your identity. No, I'm Colonel so and so, or I'm Sergeant so and so. No, you're not. You're Joe Smith. You just happen to be a colonel in the military for a season of time. And I
Yeah.
think in that helped me separate it so that I felt personally attacked whenever a partnership went sideways. And I know there was one situation in particular that derailed me for a long time, and even it led to me rebranding, because I thought, oh my gosh, this situation happened with this person. Now, in this whole industry of people, I'm like, I know she's been spreading gossip, so now I'm thinking, I can't even go into these rooms that I went into before, because now my name has been tarnished, and it's something I didn't even do. It was a total lie that was made up. And I
Yeah.
went into full blown victim mode. Like if this person didn't do that, I would be at this level already. Or if this person
Yeah.
didn't do this, I would have achieved this by now. And I could have just dusted myself off, stood up for myself, kept marching into those same rooms, and I would probably have been okay. But
Yeah.
I learned along the way, all you have is really your integrity. So when someone attacks that, it really felt personal at the time.
Yeah. I
And
love that.
so,
It's true.
yeah, I think that can let people stop for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Kaylin, this has been super, super great in terms of being able to just, distill down and how to, compartmentalize certain things and, what should I focus on versus not. And, also from a mindset. But before we let you go, we like to do something fun where we ask our guests one word, one myth, and one habit. So whatever, it's our rapid fire close. So whatever comes to mind, uh, please go ahead. So one word that describes how entrepreneurs should think about revenue.
A tool.
I like it. One common marketing myth you wish founders would stop believing.
That faster is better.
The microwave. What did you say? It was the microwave. What did you call it?
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
Microwave.
it's not fast microwavable or something. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
move as fast as a microwave. Yes, it's a really good thing. One daily or weekly habit that consistently separates businesses that grow from those that stall.
Getting up early and setting an intention for your day so that
So
that you have a
important.
clear head. Yeah.
So important. It's like that. I'm sure you've heard of him, the military guy that wrote that book, Make Your Bed. If you do
Yeah.
one thing as simple as that, it will set your day off in the right direction.
Hmm.
Yeah, this has been great, Kaylee. We really appreciate your insights and your thoughts. And I will link everything from your website to the book so that people can take a look at it and really
Awesome.
uncomplicate things.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is fun.
Thank you.